Why do we still have the issues that we have?
And if you're going to break the law, you need to learn it.
Drop the mic.
You're welcome, Mayor Williams.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I can't wait to see the show.
Hey guys, welcome to According to Michelle with Michelle Taylor Willis. And the theme for the season is confidence. And that's something that we've been talking about a lot, right? Making sure that you're confident, you know that you're the best at what you do, and nobody does what you do better than you. And on the last show, we really talked about affirmations and that, sometimes you have to really start telling yourself who you are before you ever become that person. And here's why that's important. Because sometimes it takes things a while to manifest. And if you say, I'm going, I will, I want, that might not ever actually happen. You don't want to end up going somewhere. You want to get there, right? You don't want to end up being somebody. You want to be that person, right? So the biggest thing is to speak in the present, to be in the present. And that's really the key takeaway right now. Being present where you are, being appreciative of what you've got, being exactly who you are and who you want to be before you ever become that person. So remember, keep telling yourself who you are, keep knowing what you want to be, and keep being the best at what you do, because if you don't believe it, absolutely nobody else will. So I got somebody with me today that absolutely believes she is the best at what she does. And I'm pretty sure the voters, or a lot of the voters at Fulton County might just agree with her. I'm so happy to welcome to the show today Anna Roach. And Anna is actually the Chief Operations Officer for Fulton County, the largest county in the state of Georgia. And it's interesting because about 2.5 weeks ago, nobody probably heard of Fulton County. They knew what Atlanta was, but they might not have known what Fulton County was. But by golly, and I did say by golly, what are we, like 1939? But by golly, people know exactly what Fulton County is now, because that's pretty much how we got these votes counted, right, Anna?
Absolutely. That's exactly how we got these votes.
Welcome to According to Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
This is such a pleasure.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're here. So since I kind of, threw it out there, you want to give your spiel about making sure everybody votes right now? No, I'm just joking. Because we got runoffs coming, right? We need to vote.
We do have runoffs coming, and it is important that everybody understands that not only do you have the opportunity to vote for the Senate positions for Georgia on January 5th, but you still have the opportunity to register to vote. And so for anybody that is still not registered to vote, there's still time to do so. You have until December 7th to do so, and you will be able to vote on January 5th for the 2 Senate seats that are up for grabs here in Georgia.
Wow. I didn't realize that I guess if you weren't registered to vote, you can actually go and register.
You
so
absolutely
it's never too late.
can.
Well, I guess it is sometimes too late. But
Sometimes it is too late. If you come after December 7th, you will be too late, but you have until December 7th. And the other thing that we're encouraging people to take advantage of is early voting. I'm not sure if you noticed, but the majority of our votes in this last election came by people going to the polls and early voting.
Right.
And the significance of that is that it really took the pressure off of the lines on election day. So to get the majority of our votes in early voting was a tremendous assistance here as we deal with this pandemic. And then the other thing was that people voted by absentee ballot. That was the second largest volume of votes that came in. And we're going to encourage people to do the same thing in this election. For the safety of the general public, for your personal safety, we encourage people to early vote as well as to vote by absentee.
So I heard an interesting statistic, and I'm sure you could probably confirm this, but it seems like Democrats, by and large, voted early, and Republicans waited to vote on election day. Is that accurate? At least here in Fulton County?
That is accurate here in Fulton County. That is accurate. I think the messaging of the two parties was very different. I think Democrats encouraged their voters to either early vote or vote by absentee, and the message was just different on the Republican side.
Got
and
you.
so the messages came from the top, and I think the voters sort of followed the messaging.
It's interesting how people actually do listen and follow suit when the messages are clear
Sure.
and deliberate. people will do exactly what they're told to do, right?
Absolutely.
Good or bad?
Absolutely. Well, as in Fulton County government, we don't care who you vote for, but we certainly want everybody to take advantage of the opportunity, the right, the privilege to vote.
Right.
So we do want everybody to vote.
So let me ask you this, because I didn't even realize Fulton County had a chief operations officer. So what does a COO do for the county?
Wow. So the chief operating officer role is a significant role because it is responsible for managing all of the forward-facing departments in the county. And so when you think of services like the Board of Health, within our Health and Human Services sector, when you think of services like community development, senior services, and that's on the, again, Health and Human Services side. Those are roles and responsibilities that are within the purview of the chief operating officer. On the infrastructure side, everything we build, I am responsible for.
Wow.
So the Department of Real Estate and Asset Management is within my purview. The Information Technology Department is within my purview. And the Public Works Department, those are infrastructure departments. And the third area I have responsibility for is public safety. And so our police department, medical examiner, child attorney's office are all within my purview. And then I have a deputy for public safety that does strategic alignment with our justice partners. Those are separately elected officials, so we don't have purview over them. But certainly in order to deliver the best services, it's important that our strategies are aligned.
Right.
And so that's sort of the breadth of that position. Those three sectors are within the purview of the chief operating officer: public safety, health and human services, as well as infrastructure.
So it's crazy because, if I'm not mistaken, all of that equals $1 billion about, right?
Yeah.
$1 billion.
Yes.
Did you guys get the reference? That was funny, wasn't it? No, it wasn't funny. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
No, that actually was funny.
You know, the way you know for sure something's not funny is when somebody says, that was funny. If
No,
they tell you
that was
funny,
hysterical.
That's and then they follow it up with, that was hysterical. Oh my gosh.
That was funny. $1 billion, yes, that's our budget. When you
crazy.
combine our general fund budget with our other funds, we have what's called enterprise funds. Our water sewer fund is an enterprise fund, and that just means we manage it separately because it's self-sustaining. The revenue we get sustains the operations. But when you combine all the funds, including our general fund, it's over $1 billion.
From a national perspective, everybody's heard of Atlanta, right? We know Atlanta, Georgia, but like nobody knows what Fulton County is. And I think what's so interesting is that it took a national election like this to put the county on the map. And I say all that to say, when you think about the county now, okay, so this is being the largest county in Georgia,
Yep.
which houses one of the most influential cities in the nation.
And the world, really.
In the world,
Atlanta's-
yeah, Atlanta is like, yeah, you're right. Atlanta's worldwide.
Recognized worldwide,
Absolutely.
certainly.
And that's $1 billion, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
Like, what do you do in your secret lair with all that money?
Oh, it's a lot of money, but quite frankly, we try to make sure that the way that we invest taxpayers' dollars, that we're good stewards of it, and that we invest it in things that benefit the public in ways that that they appreciate, right? And so, you know, some of the major projects that are underway right now, I'll give an example. In North Fulton, we have a $300 million water treatment plant expansion at Big Creek.
Which we're going to go visit.
Which we're going to go visit. And I'm so excited about that project because, as you mentioned, Atlanta is internationally recognized, right? And we are a growing county. That's a growing city. And all of the metropolitan suburbs that support this mega city are growing. And so we have to, at the county, make sure that our infrastructure keeps up with that growth.
Right.
And so the expansion at Big Creek is one of the major projects that we have that will facilitate that expansion. We also have an urban redevelopment bond project going on in central Atlanta, for lack of a better term. And it's a $90 million investment in the People's House, as we affectionately call it, which is the government center at 141 Pryor, as well as a huge infrastructure improvement project at our courthouse. And then the final in South Fulton is one of my favorites, and one that
in the house.
South Fulton House. One that I am personally involved in a little more than the others because it's my baby. It's called, I branded it the Renew the District Initiative. And if you think about Fulton Industrial Boulevard and the reputation that it has right now, it's not good. And so we're investing $162 million over the next several years to do an expansion of the airport, a huge animal control center, and a public safety training center. So that's, we try to make those
All
investments.
kinds of exciting
Absolutely.
stuff. You're using our money well.
We're using
Well,
the
listen, we're
money
going to take a quick break.
Sure.
We're here with Anna Roach, the COO for Fulton County. But before we go, we've got a piece of trivia for you.
Ooh,
So we're going to go to break.
trivia.
I'm going to ask the question. When we come back, we're going to get the answer because I know you know the answer.
okay.
So operations and women in operations is absolutely your thing, right? Mm-hmm. So who is the first Black woman to sit, or not to sit, but to serve as COO for Starbucks? So don't answer. And if you guys know who that is, then hold your tongue. Don't tell Anna, or else she'll know. But we'll be right back with the answer, and then we'll talk a little bit more to Anna Roach. Welcome back to According to Michelle with Michelle Taylor Willis, and I am here with Anna Roach. And when I left, I asked the question, who is the first Black COO of Starbucks? So, do you know the answer?
Rosalind Brewer.
Look at
and
you!
What a fitting last name for her. And
Why?
she's gonna do Brewer, Starbucks. No.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. She's putting two to two together. Connecting dots, friends. Connecting dots. That's why you got $1 billion in your back pocket.
Listen,
You're
what
like,
can I tell you?
what else do you need from me? What else? But yeah, so I know because one of your, I know that one of your things really is certainly operations, but women in operational roles. And it's like, it's kind of a new thing. You don't normally, we haven't traditionally seen women, especially Black women,
Sure.
in these, first of all, C-suite period, right? But certainly in an operational capacity. Why do you think that has been?
It's certainly not for lack of ability. Black women are talented and capable. And the fact that I have to say that is a problem in and of itself, right? And that's why I think that it takes special and good leadership to recognize that the talent we have in Black women across this nation, across this world, goes unrecognized. So I think that is, to answer your question directly, I think that's why we don't see that more often. It's just a lack of recognition of the talent that Black women have.
And I think too, we still live kind of in this stigma. I was talking to someone a few days ago, and she's a physician.
Yeah.
And she basically was saying that she was in a room full of other physicians from all around the world. And she mentioned that she worked and she does some research.
Right.
And she has 2 kids. And one of the physicians from another part of the world was like, well, what do you do with your kids all day? Who's taking care of your kids? And they said it kind of like,
Sure.
you should be taking care of your kids.
Sure.
You have 4 kids, right?
I do.
And so, I think we're starting to see women defy this whole like, yeah, I don't have to be barefoot and pregnant all the time.
Absolutely.
Like I can do other things. And I can be barefoot and pregnant for like 9 to 12 months or 3 to 6 months and then get back to running $1 billion budgets. Right?
Absolutely. And, and I think it's a misconception to think that, families are taken care of by women. I think families are successful when they are partnerships, when everybody plays a role to make it successful.
Right.
My children play a role in making our families successful. My husband plays a role in making our families successful. And because we each are very accepting of our individual roles in our family, we manage to do it where both my husband and I are professional and our children are very well raised. And so it can be done.
Absolutely. But to your point, though, it's all training, right?
It
I
is.
mean, children have to be trained, so to speak, to be able to know their roles, but to fill their roles too. Husbands kind of have to be trained too. We don't need the training.
Absolutely.
But we're great
Comes
trainers.
naturally. Yes.
Great trainers.
Absolutely. But everyone has a role. And when everybody takes on their role in the family and they participate in that partnership, it works. And women can have the opportunity to be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were born great. I mean, if you think about all the stuff that we had to do even before we were quote unquote allowed to work.
Sure.
I mean, shoot, as slaves. I mean, we had babies in the field.
Absolutely.
And then went right back to picking cotton. Like, I mean, it was like we were always doing both jobs. We've been working and having kids, like literally working and having kids at the same time.
Absolutely. It can be done.
It absolutely can be done, and it can be done. So speaking of things that can be done, part of that $1 billion budget is that beautiful new water facility we got, right?
Yes.
So we are going to take a break and go and check this facility out. I've actually never been to a water treatment facility.
Absolutely.
So I'm fascinated by what we're going to see. So we'll go and do that, and then we will be back. Stay tuned.
I am so proud to be here with you today talking about our Big Creek Water Reclamation Facility. This is one of the largest water treatment facilities in Fulton County and one of the largest in the state as well. This is our existing water plant, but what I'm excited to talk to you about today is the fact that we are going to be expanding this plant. It's already been expanded several times since its inception, but we are taking this plant from a capacity of treating 24 million gallons per day to treating 38 million gallons per day. That means that we'll be able to service much more capacity in this region, and we are doing this expansion particularly because of the expansion and growth and rise in population in the North Fulton cities that we're so fortunate to treat. This expansion is going to be $300 million. It is the largest expansion that Fulton County has ever done in its water treatment capacities. And so we're really excited to talk about that today. We've done a couple of other expansions, Little River and now, but Big Creek is our crown jewel, as it were, of water treatment improvements. I do want to introduce you to my Deputy Director for Public Works, Mr. Roy Barnes. He is responsible for entire sewer system. So glad to talk to him today. He's going to give us a little bit of history about our existing plant as we take a walk so that you could take a look at our new facility.
We're so excited to have you out, Ms. Roach, and thank you for coming. Just wanted to talk a little bit about our existing plant. This plant first came online in 1968 with a daily production of 750,000. And from 1968 until 1989, we've expanded the capacity up to 24 million gallons a day.
This is one of your babies.
This is one of my babies. This is the biggest baby.
It's the biggest baby.
We have 3 plants. We have Little River in the northern section. We have the Big Creek plant, and then we have the Camp Creek plant down in South Fulton.
And that's close to where I live. That's in my neck of the woods.
That's absolutely right.
Let's take a walk over to this new plant. So $300 million, we kicked this project off in 2020. I remember in the middle of a pandemic,
That's
people
correct.
find it hard to believe that Fulton County is still operating and doing big things. But last year we got this kicked off. We're due to finish in 2024 or
2024,
so. What are
summer
some of the big
2024.
things that are going to happen in between that, Roy? Why don't you?
This plant will be utilizing the latest technology in wastewater treatment. Normally the process, we have wastewater come in, we screen out all of the large articles out of the water, Then we send it to a biological process. And then after the biological process is done, we send it to some large tanks so the water can settle down and all of the dirt comes out. And the existing plant, after that's done, it's sent to a large bank of sand filters. And after the water goes through the sand filter, we use ultraviolet light to kill all the bacteria, and then it ends up back into the Chattahoochee River. This process is a little bit different, and we'll be using membranes. And membranes are very thin sheets of paper or plastic in this case, so thin that it can filter out viruses all the way down to the bacterial level.
And this is the most up-to-date technology in
This is the
water
most
treatment.
up-to-date
And so we're really
technology.
proud
That's correct.
of what we're bringing to bear here in terms of updating the facility, not just the physical bones of it, but really bringing the latest technology to our user in the implementation of this project.
Yes. By using this technology, we're able to go to 38 million and keep a smaller footprint. Normally we would have to build large tanks,
That's
but
right.
with this increased technology, we can do it in a smaller space.
In a smaller space. I'm really proud of Roy, his team, our contractors that we're working with to execute this $300 million project. And we'll have you guys back out in 2024 when we are cutting the ribbon on this big boy. But it was great to talk to you. Thanks for showing us around.
You're welcome.
I'm coming to visit you again
Absolutely.
soon, and we'll see you.
Hey guys, welcome back to According to Michelle. That was crazy. And that place is going to be huge. So how much is that treatment facility? Like, what's the total cost to build something like that?
$312 million.
I thought I was going to say $300 million. That's what I thought I remember you saying.
Round numbers, $300 million, $312 million. And the capacity is going to grow from treating $24 million a day, 24 million gallons a day today, to about 38 million gallons a day. I mean, it's a huge expansion, and we're really excited about it.
Wow. So people keep moving to Atlanta.
People keep moving to Atlanta.
Jeez, guys, go.
Going to
We're
our
full.
suburbs.
We are full here. We can't build another. After this one, what would it be, like a $600 million treatment? And then it would be a $1 billion treatment facility, which means your budget would be like $20 billion.
I'm ready for it.
She's ready for it.
I'm ready
She's ready.
for it.
She's gonna do it. So speaking of which, okay, I know you went to Cornell, which means you're super smart.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, am I? Is that what that is? Is that what they call that? Yes, they call it intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
So you pledged Zeta at Cornell, right?
That's where the chapter was.
But you didn't actually attend Cornell,
I went to Cortland.
Cortland. So let me ask you this: when you were in college,
St. John. Oh, okay.
no, when you were in college, did you know this is what you wanted to do?
Absolutely not.
I was gonna say, like, how do you end up
Absolutely
like saying,
not.
I'm gonna run accounting?
No, I graduated from Cortland, went to St. John's Law School, and from there, thought I was going to be a lawyer for the rest of my life.
So what was the transition from, oh no, it's not law?
I think when I started having children, it made a huge difference. I wanted to be more present. And I thought that I would take a break, which I did. And I served as the dean at Greater Atlanta Christian School.
Oh, wow.
While my
That's a
children
great
were,
school.
I loved that school. It was one of the best jobs I had,
So
by
you
the
were
way.
dean there. I did not know that.
I was the dean of the middle school. And following that, I did that actually for about 7 years. And then following that, I got into government services, and then ended up at the county. Never got back into practicing law.
Do you
So
miss
it was
it?
a detour. Do I miss it? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't miss it because, one of my favorite things about this job is the impact that I have on people's lives on a daily basis.
Right.
I make decisions that make a difference in people's lives, like for real,
Right.
in their lives. And so that means more to me than any role that I could have planned while I was in law school.
Well, not even thinking just about the residents, but I mean, you've got like 5,000 employees, right?
Yes.
In Fulton County. I mean, so just even your employees that depend on the decisions you make,
Sure,
right? And
sure.
then of course all the way out to the residents. But I mean, whenever I see people in interesting positions like you, I always think like,
How do you
did
get
they wake
there?
up going, I'm going to be the COO of a major county one day, or how you end up there. But I think a lot of people that end up across the way from me, right, in my studio, are always people who are servant led,
Yeah.
right? They're servant leaders. I mean, these are just kind of the people that we get on the show. And the reason you end up serving people, even for pay, is because that's your heart's desire, just to serve.
Absolutely. And really and truly, the feeling that you get is sort of unlike any other. And constituents of this county know that we work on their behalf. You think of some of the most recent examples. Running this election,
That put Fulton County on the map.
Absolutely. But you had employees who put their lives at risk to
Right.
serve.
Right.
You have the Board of Health employees right now. And it is somebody's job to wake up on a daily basis and go swab for COVID test kits, right? Putting their own lives at risk. And that is, it's not just about what you plan to do in college. It's really, you got to have a heart for this work.
That's
Otherwise, it doesn't work out.
That's right.
And I find it incredibly fulfilling. I'm incredibly humbled that the people of this county put their trust in me and the other leaders at the county to work for them.
So speaking of serving, you're a mom with 4 kids,
Yeah.
you got a husband, you run $1 billion business, basically. Who's serving you? Like, how do you find time to like just sit back and go, like, do you ever get to sit on a big comfy couch and just veg out, or?
I actually do. And I think, that's an interesting question. Who's serving me? I'd say I get a tremendous amount of fulfillment from serving constituents. I get a tremendous amount of fulfillment from watching my children grow.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of good in just the way that my life is structured. And so who's serving me? I don't know. I think I've put myself in a position where my environment serves me.
So that's where you find your balance.
That's where I
'Cause it's
find my
important. I
balance.
mean, right? As
It is.
the woman, you're
Sure.
doing a lot, and we put everybody else a lot of times before us. So it's important that you're serving yourself, and
Yeah.
so don't forget that.
No, you don't. And it's important that, I may find fulfillment in my children, my husband, my work. But you're right. You have to, even with all of that, as fulfilling as it appears, you have to find time for yourself.
Right.
Even if it's scheduled, you have to find time
Yeah.
for yourself.
Absolutely.
It's important.
That's right. So speaking of what else is important, it's actually an awful segue because I'm just going to do my game. I don't know if you do you watch my show? You watch it religiously,
I
right?
do. Well, yes. Of course.
Now you're just lying.
Well, see, remember when you started the show and you were like, hey, and that's not a joke? You're like, oh, yeah. No.
There you go. You're a quick study. You know I'm quick. So at the end of
I
every
like games. This is a
Good.
fun
So
part.
this is going to be a good game.
Yes.
At the end of every show, I always finish with a game. So I have a game for you, since you are Madam Fulton County, pretty much, right? The game is called Name That Place. Okay. Name that place.
Name that place.
I always.
I'm ready.
We don't have the budget, so I just have to come up with my own music and sound effects. So.
That's okay.
Anybody who wants to do crowdfunding, so Michelle can have real sound effects and a name, a game like music song. This is
You make it
your
a record
opportunity
deal.
to make it happen. Okay, I'm going to show you pictures
Okay.
of places around Fulton County, and you're going
Okay.
to tell me what they are.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm
cool.
ready.
All right.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So this is the first one.
Oh, that's easy. My office is there. That is our government center. We affectionately call it the People's House. That is our government center at 141 Prior Street.
Okay, what is it specifically?
That is the lobby of the government center. And there's a funny story about that, by the way.
Okay, tell it.
The funny story about it is that when we were building this building way back before I was probably born, we got federal funding to build this building because it was on like a park. And we had to build it open with plants in it so that we could keep the park feel. So that's why it has
looks like that.
parks.
Wow. Okay,
Yes, that's why it looks
good
like that
though.
in the lobby.
See, there's something I did not know. Something a lot of people didn't know. Okay, what about this?
That's our courthouse. It's actually located
right.
directly across the street from the government center.
You're right. I'm giving you layups. Okay,
Yeah,
what
this
about
one
this
is
one? This doesn't even.
Because it has a giant 10 on it, I know that is 10 Park Place,
There you
and
go.
that is our health center.
Yay! You did it. You killed it. I don't think anybody
What is
ever
my
has gotten,
parting gift?
love and happiness.
Prize?
Love and happiness. You're welcome. And you get to say you were here.
I do get to say that.
You get to
I
say
was
we're
here.
no. We get to say we had you here. Thank you so much, Anna. I'm so glad that you came in and talked to us a little bit about Fulton County and really just not even about you, Fulton County, but about you and your work. And you're an inspiration to a lot of people. I don't know if you know that or not, but you are. So tell us how, if anybody needs to do business with the county or how they get to you. Do you want to tell our guests how they can find you?
Absolutely. I'm going to start with Go Vote, okay? Every opportunity you get to vote, please go do that. If you would like to do business with the county, you have to contact the purchasing department at the county. You can visit them on our website. There's a wealth of information there, and is a wealth of opportunity there. So please visit the Fulton County website and look under the purchasing department on how to do business with the county. And fultoncountyga.gov is our website. You wouldn't believe the services that we provide. Please visit it and find out how we are putting your tax dollars to work for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Anna. And thank you guys for tuning in. We've got another great guest coming up. Hang tight. We'll be right back with more According to Michelle.
The power of connection. There are multiple roads to success. Each business or entrepreneur charts their own course. Maybe you had a great mentor that specifically guided you,
I just need help.
or a connection with a banking officer that showed you beneficial programs you didn't know existed. The South Fulton Chamber of Commerce is your connector to everything you and your business need.
Hey guys, welcome to According to Michelle. I'm Michelle Taylor Willis, and we've been talking a lot this season about focus. And a lot of the conversations I think I've been having, or well, I know I've been having over the last couple of weeks are about intention and chess. And I don't know about you, but I'm actually not a chess player. My kids beat me all the time at chess, at least on the game board. But I have gotten pretty good about playing chess in life and being strategic. And one of the things I tell people a lot is that you should make your life and your journey a chess game, not a checkers game. And what I mean by that is legacy and making decisions for the long haul and for tomorrow, not necessarily today. Now that doesn't mean that you don't have to or you won't encounter opportunities to make decisions today for today. But usually those short-term decisions, the decisions that you make today for today, are really to help you forward your path for what tomorrow looks like. So remember, chess, not checkers, but sometimes checkers, but only checkers when it makes sense when you're playing chess. That makes sense, right? Well, I can tell you somebody who plays chess all the time because I was actually just talking to him about it not too long ago. And that's Dr. L. Ray Matthews. Dr. Matthews is an international vitamin D expert, a former critical care and trauma surgeon. And he has focused most of his efforts over the last maybe 20 years or so on vitamin D and the lack thereof in, most of the world's population. And he really has led the way and spearheaded efforts to get the word out about how important vitamin D is to our overall health. But if you have the right amounts of vitamin D in your system, you can actually keep yourself from getting sick. So preventative therapy is a thing, not proactive therapy, right, Dr. Matthews?
Correct.
Yay, I did well.
Yes, you did. And thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Welcome to the According to Michelle show.
Thank
so
you.
I start off a lot talking about where people come from.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that because I think it's important for people to know kind of what the journey has looked like. You know, people see your rise, or they see you at the top, so to speak, and they think like you're an overnight success, or, you know, but everybody starts somewhere, and you started in Mississippi.
Yes, I'm originally from Indianola, Mississippi. I'm the youngest of 12 children. My dad was a Baptist minister. My mom was a homemaker. My mom had the first set of Siamese twins back in 1955. Siamese twins to be successfully separated. And my dad actually sang in a group with B.B. King, so my family gave the world B.B. King, the blues singer. He actually started out as a gospel singer. I went to University of Mississippi undergrad, got a degree in chemistry, went to University of Mississippi Medical School in Medical Center in Jackson, Mississippi, did my surgical residency at Morehouse School of Medicine, did my critical care fellowship at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. I was on the staff up there for 2.5 years and then moved back to Atlanta, worked at Morehouse Grady Memorial Hospital for 13 years.
Wow, you have been media trained. You're like, and I'm on. I'm like, hey, over here. No, no, but that's awesome. But I just think it's so cool because we hear about places in the deep South where some of our best people have been born and bred and made. And you're from Mississippi.
Yes, I am.
To Atlanta.
Yes.
To Dubai. I mean, you know, you've given presentations in Dubai, literally all over the world. But you know, 12 children.
Yes.
Siamese twins.
Yes.
B.B. King.
Yes.
I mean, so I can't really say you come from like humble beginnings. I mean, you know, your family's kind of famous.
Yeah, they were. You know, it's bad when you have one famous parent, but when you have two famous parents, it's even worse.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Expectations are very high.
So talk to me about growing up in a family of 12 kids or 11 kids. Where do you fall in line?
I'm number 12.
Are you
Actually,
serious?
Yes, I'm the youngest.
You're the baby?
Yes, I am.
You're spoiled rotten, aren't you?
No.
Yes,
by no
you are. I can
means.
see it in your eyes.
No, really not. Well, actually, because between my other siblings, there's 1 to 2 year period between all the other 11. And then I call myself the gap baby because there's a 4-year gap between myself and the next one. So actually, I got a chance to grow up, see all the personality disorders in the world, and see my
all in your
siblings-
family?
Yes. All in the family, and see mistakes they made, and like note to self, don't do that.
Right.
And actually, my last 4 years, I got to spend last 4 years of my high school with my parents because all other kids had moved out the house. And so it was a great experience. So actually, I was very independent.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Who has 12 kids anymore?
Nobody.
Did your parents do that on purpose?
I think so.
Or were they just like bored?
They said they didn't have a lot of TV.
Gosh. They're like, we'll create our own entertainment. We don't need no cable. Got our own cable channels.
Yes, correct.
So, all right, so you said that you got a chance to see, you know, various personalities. At what point did you know you were going to be a doctor? Are you the first doctor in your family?
No, I have an older cousin, O.L. Matthews Jr. He's a cardiologist in Detroit. I have a cousin that's older, Helen Simpson. She's a family medicine physician in Florida. Then there's a chiropractor in my family that's younger, a couple nurses and stuff. So there's quite a few people in my
So
family.
medical actually is kind of in your DNA, so to speak.
Yes, it is. Both grandmothers and great-grandmother were midwives in
Really?
Mississippi. Yes, correct.
So at what point did you know you had the bug? Well, not like the coronavirus bug, but like, you know, the medical bug.
I was 4 years old. I was 4 years old when I knew I wanted to be a surgeon. Yes, I did.
How'd you know? Like, how do you remember that?
Because my mom and my doctor name was Dr. Hurt, of all, H-U-R-T.
H-U-R-T?
Yes, his real name, Dr. R.N. Hurt. And he was a great doctor, excellent physician. So my mom said I had a boil on my knee at 4 years old, and so the doctor had to lance it. So he said, well, Ray, this is going to hurt a little bit. And my mom and Dr. Hurt both told me, I said, well, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to cut people when I get older, too. I'm going to be a surgeon.
You literally said that at 4.
Yes, I did. Yes.
So let me ask you this, because this is something that I talk about a lot and actually mention it in my book about fueling your children's passions. Like when you see that they want to do certain things or they're passionate about certain things, and as parents, we should, really lean into that. What did your parents do when they knew that that's what you wanted to do? How did they foster that growth in you?
Well, my parents were pretty hilarious. So having 12 children, my dad would say, when you get 18, you got to get out of my house.
Yeah.
So
I say the same thing.
he had trained you, so when you got 18, you're like, I got to go.
Right. You can't stay here.
No, can't stay here. You're going to have to pay rent and stuff. And so they encouraged us the sky was the limit. You can do whatever your talents take you. Find something you're passionate about, work hard at it, get good at it, and just do it.
And so what did they do in terms of medically speaking? Did they, buy you operating kits? Did you have the game Operation?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I had that, and when I was 6 years old, my parents bought me a chemistry set, so I didn't want a football set. So I actually, as I got older, I asked my parents, I was like, did y'all think I could blow up the house with the chemistry set?
Wow.
So they bought me a lot of books too, so
Yeah.
Yep.
So you go and you decide now, you're in college, this is what you're going to do. You went into trauma, right? Critical care, trauma. Do you ever go back, or did you ever go back in the operating room and think back to the time when you were 4 and you said, I literally, I'm going to cut on people. As a trauma surgeon, that's what you do all day long, right? You save lives.
Well, you're operating and stuff, and then you're doing preventive things too. So we try to prevent injuries and traumas, and we go talk to communities. We mentor children, have to teach, you have to lecture, and do a lot of things.
Yeah, 'cause it's funny, I think our words are powerful, even
yes.
as kids.
They are.
And I say that to my children and to people who have kids a lot. Start telling your children and having your children say what they want to be
Yes.
before they actually become those people, right? And they will
Yes.
eventually become those people.
Oh, you can make what you want to make with children and young minds. If you keep telling them something in a
Yeah.
positive direction, they actually begin to believe it and head in that direction.
Absolutely. The flesh will follow us.
Yes, it
follow
will.
the mind, right?
Yes, it will.
So because I know you really kind of leaned into this vitamin D thing as a trauma surgeon. You noticed that when you gave large doses to vitamin D, that your patients got better. Talk to us about that, and then what really set you on the path to this vitamin D?
Well, back in medical school, my instructor said, just eat 3 meals a day, you will be healthy. But however, you cannot eat 3 meals a day and be healthy because 90% of vitamin D comes from the sun striking your skin. Only 10% of vitamin D comes from your diet. So therefore, you can eat all the foods you want, you're not gonna get enough vitamin D in your diet.
No, diet will not do it.
No, not alone.
And the sun won't always do it either, right?
No, because we have sunscreen now. People wear long clothes. You go to the Arab countries where they wear the burqas. They're not exposed. Pollution, cloudy days, all that stuff hinders vitamin D production. You need the sun to strike your skin. Then it produces a compound from cholesterol that goes to the liver and put a hydroxy group on it. Then it goes to the kidney, put another hydroxyl group on it. So in order to make vitamin D, you need a healthy skin, you need the sun, you need a healthy liver, and you can only make vitamin D in the United States from late March through early October. And you can only make vitamin D during that time from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So you can stand out in the sun all day. In the winter time, you're not gonna make any vitamin D. You can stand out in the sun all day long. After 3 p.m., you're not gonna make any vitamin D. So it's time specific. It's like the sun needs to be at a 90-degree angle in order to make vitamin D, we're just like plants. Plants need, 90-degree angle of the sun to make crops. We need 90 degrees to make vitamin D.
So, and I know we're gonna take a quick break here in a second, but so talk to us really quickly as we move into break. What happens when we don't have enough vitamin D?
That's a great question, Michelle. There are a lot of things that can happen when you don't have vitamin D. Vitamin D is a hormone, so it's not a true vitamin, it's a hormone. So hormones basically control how you interact with your environment. It controls how well, you can call it an anti-stress hormone. So anytime you're in a stressful position, whether it's pregnancy, heart attack, stroke, coronavirus, or anything, you need more vitamin D to help your body. So it actually strengthens your immune system. It makes strong bones. It increases your calcium level, that help with your balance, your coordination. So it does a lot of different things.
Wow. Okay. So I want you to hold that thought
Sure.
because that's going to take us into our next segment a little bit. Guys, we got to take a quick break, but hang tight. We'll be right back with more According to Michelle. Hey guys, welcome back to According to Michelle. I'm here with Dr. L. Ray Matthews, and we're talking all things vitamin D. Well, we're not talking all things vitamin D, but we're about to talk all things vitamin D. When we left, we were talking about what it looks like, what deficiency in vitamin D looks like, and you were telling us a little bit about that. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that we are, at least in America, that the state of health is where it is in part because our vitamin D levels aren't where they should be?
That is an excellent question. Actually, the whole world is, it's a worldwide pandemic, really, because vitamin D deficiency is the most common nutritional deficiency in the world. There are 7.8 billion people on the planet Earth. Probably half of those people are vitamin D deficient.
50% of the people in the world are vitamin D deficient.
Correct.
So do you know what the statistic is? Like what percentage of the world's population, or at least the US, is sick? I mean, and when I say sick, I mean like anything from like chronically sick, diabetes, high blood pressure, you know, those type of common chronic illnesses.
Well, it's pretty high because vitamin D deficiency is associated with all the chronic diseases. 97% of African Americans are vitamin D deficient. And probably
97%.
97%. So only 3% of African Americans have a normal vitamin D level.
I'm in that 3%, by the way. I'm pretty sure about it.
Okay. So that's why you see a higher incidence of heart attacks, strokes, prostate cancer, breast cancer, higher incidences of coronavirus, because vitamin D, you need vitamin D to have a strong immune system.
Right.
And so if you have a weakened immune system, that affects everything.
Yeah. And so as you're talking, I'm obviously connecting some dots here, right?
Sure.
I mean, African Americans are, I mean, we lead the way in diabetes and,
Yes.
and high blood pressure and, you know, heart problems, heart disease, and we're vitamin D deficient.
Yes, all those diseases are chronic diseases of aging.
I was talking to Dr. Nathan Bryan, who I don't know if you know him or not, but
No, I didn't.
he, like you, or like the vitamin D expert, he's like the nitric oxide expert.
Okay.
And he talks a lot about African Americans not having enough nitric oxide, and that's contributing to a lot of our chronic health problems. And now with you saying vitamin D, you know, it's just crazy how we end up in the population of the sickest people. We're the most deficient and the things that will keep us well, but we're not as proactive maybe as we could be.
No,
at
not at all.
Not at all. Okay, well, I didn't want to say that. Okay, you said it. He said it, not me. You know, in doing what we need to do to be where we need to be. Whose fault is that? And the reason I ask that is because, you know, sometimes we don't always have access to the resources, right? So if we don't know, we can't apply the knowledge. But then on the flip side of that, it's like, okay, well, if we do know, are we doing anything about it?
That's a great question, Michelle. My take on that is that we have to take a big part or role in your own health. There are 350 million people in the United States. There are only 900,000 doctors to take care of those 350 million people. So you have to be proactive in your own health care. You have the world's knowledge in your smartphone at your fingertips. So you can look up, Google, or find anything you want to know. So any disease process that you have, you should know everything about it. I often used to see patients that didn't know which medications they were on, didn't know which surgeries they had, so they were passive in their health care. You can help a person that's active more than you can a person that's passive.
Right.
Yeah, so the big thing is getting people actively involved in their health care.
So how do you know when we Google things, right? I used to be in pharmaceutical sales and medical device sales. And I remember some of my doctors would say, these patients come in and, you know, they find something on Google and they come in here and now they're telling me how to treat them. What do you say to that? Who someone's trying to be active, but maybe the information's not as correct, or, you know, how do you decipher what's right and what's wrong?
Well, put it in a question form. You know, doctors do not like to be challenged, but if you ask them in a nice way, most of them will explain things to you.
So take that approach.
Yes,
But definitely
that's
be, don't be timid when it comes to how you're treated.
Or too aggressive.
Or too aggressive, right? Ride the line in the middle, ride the line.
Yes.
You heard it first here on the According to Michelle show. I'm here with Dr. L. Ray Matthews, the world's leading vitamin D expert and former trauma surgeon. So back to this vitamin D thing. All right, let's juxtapose this to the coronavirus pandemic now that we're seeing. What do we need to be doing preventatively, right? For like pretend there's no vaccines.
Okay.
And the only thing we can do is be preventive in our healthcare, especially as it relates to coronavirus. Where does vitamin D play into that?
Okay, there are several things you can do. First of all, make sure you wear your mask, practice social distancing, wash your hands. 50% of men that go to the restroom do not wash their hands.
I know. See, I knew this always. I have always known this was a thing. I knew y'all didn't wash your hands. I don't hear water running all the time. Thank you for confirming that. Are you in that 50%?
No, I wash my hands. If you see my hands, I've washed all the pigments out of them, basically. My hands are 5 different colors. I'm meticulously washing. I hate infections as a surgeon.
Yeah, absolutely. So all that standard stuff. But then, okay, so now how does vitamin D play into this piece with
Well,
coronavirus?
you need adequate diet, sleeping, drinking enough water, and vitamin D, because remember said 70 to 80% of the people in the United States are vitamin D deficient. Half the world's population is vitamin D deficient. The way vitamin D does is kind of like the key to the old cars. It's not like these new cars, you have to put the key in the ignition. So vitamin D is the key to the ignition of your immune system. It revs it up. So you need it as a hormone, like I said. So basically you have 30,000 genes in the human body. Vitamin D controls 3,000 out of 30,000 genes in the human body, including your immune system.
Wow. So vitamin D really is like the miracle hormone.
Yes.
I won't say the miracle drug or
Yeah.
the miracle vitamin because it's neither of those, right?
Yes. Well, I call it God's miracle vitamin is what I call it.
Got you. All right. So got to take another quick break, guys. You are we're always giving you incredible information and we're saving your life basically. Now you just got to go and save it. All right. You're watching the According to Michelle show right here on VTV. Hang tight. We'll be right back. Welcome back to According to Michelle. I'm here with Dr. Matthews, a former trauma surgeon and the world's leading vitamin D expert. And when we left, we were talking just a little bit about how you could be preventative in your approach to living a healthy life and not acquiring the coronavirus, but really anything. I heard you give a statistic, and I think it was either 30 or 41%. But you were talking about the percentage difference of people when they come in to the hospital with heart. Wait, talk to us about that. Tell me that.
Okay, vitamin D deficiency is a bad disease because when your vitamin D level is less than 18 nanograms per milliliter, that's a simple blood test where we check to see what your level of vitamin D in your blood is. If your level is less than 18, the federal government says 30 nanograms per milliliter is normal. So a vitamin D level less than 18 nanograms per milliliter increase your risk of death from all causes by 30%.
So it is 30%.
Yes,
wow.
30%.
It increases your cause of death.
From all causes, which means i.e. heart attack, stroke, coronavirus, pneumonia.
All of them, anything.
All of them, anything at all.
Wow. So if you just, the right level is 30 nanograms, you said?
That's what the federal government says.
What do you
Actually,
say?
My first paper I wrote, I challenged the federal government on what's normal vitamin D level. So the federal government was like, you're either crazy or you know what you're talking about. I said, I might be a little
bit of both.
The reason I said that is because we devised a thing called the Matthews-Danner Amiag graft. And so on this graph, we grafted...
And Matthews is you, I'm guessing, yeah.
Yes, Matthews is me. So we grafted the physiologic responses of the body, the thing that the body naturally does with vitamin D. So at 30 nanograms per milliliter, your body basically prevents you from getting rickets or weak bones or your bones just breaking when you walk. Okay, at 40 nanograms per milliliter, 10 points higher than 30, you get maximum bone density. So that's important for ladies with osteoporosis. So you want to keep their vitamin D level above what? 40 nanograms per milliliter. At 40 nanograms per milliliter, you also get maximum muscle contraction. So I work with athletes. So if I want my athletes to run faster, jump higher, be able to do more work, I'm gonna do what? Get the vitamin D level above 40. So if I want to prevent them from getting a lot of broken bones and soft tissue injuries, I want to keep the level above what? 40 nanograms per milliliter. Also at 40 nanograms per milliliter, as your vitamin D level goes up, your parathyroid hormones, which are located in your neck, that level goes down or it naters.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
so
there's even this like thyroid, this endocrine.
Endocrine response just at 40.
Wow.
So you don't reach that at 30, you reach it at 40.
Right.
Okay. So then remember I said once you get less than 18 nanograms per milliliter, your mortality rate goes up.
By 30%.
So, yeah, when you're going down, get below 30, and so you begin to see more deaths as you get below 30. So if 30 is a normal level, don't you want your level a little higher than 30?
Yeah.
Okay, so also then it takes a lot higher levels to stimulate your immune system. So a lot of scientists have done research and said, well, vitamin D doesn't work because they don't understand vitamin D is kind of like dopamine, which works at different concentration, it works at different receptors. It's just like alcohol. At 0.01, you just consider what? Under the influence. At 0.08, you consider what? Driving while intoxicated. So the crimes are different, you know, and going as higher your level go up, the more punishment it is. So basically, with vitamin D, at different levels, it does different things. So most scientists don't understand the chemistry. So to understand vitamin D, you got to understand biochemistry, physiology, and pharmacology.
And chemistry was your original major, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
that?
So yes, I graduated cum laude in chemistry from Ole Miss.
Yeah. Wow. There's so much information here. So when we talk about, like, literally, it's the key. The key is vitamin D.
Yes.
But it's not, like you said, it's not as easy as standing out in the sun
No.
like we think, right? And from what you've told me before, Black people have a harder time absorbing
Yes,
vitamin
because
C.
we have melanin in our skin. So melanin is like a natural sunscreen. So sunscreen and melanin blocks 98% of vitamin D
Wow.
production. So we have to stay in the sun 3 to 10 times longer than a lighter skinned person to make the same amount of vitamin D. So therefore, African Americans tend to run vitamin D levels 30% lower than the average lighter skinned person.
So where we really need to be at that 40 nanograms then,
Or above.
or above, wow.
Yeah, or
Like
above.
90 nanograms?
No, not that high.
So the key is supplements. Right?
Yes, that's what I do. I take supplements because while I was working 80 to 100 hours a week. So when do I go outside? So
Yeah.
never. So I would supplement.
Now let me ask you this real quick. Kids, is it safe to give vitamin D supplements to children?
Yeah, I mean, but they need different dosages. So you have to understand different ages, different weights, different heights, and medical conditions and certain medications affect vitamin D levels. Remember I said this is biochemistry?
Yeah.
So most doctors don't understand it because most doctors had a hard time with biochemistry in medical school. That was the
Wow.
hardest course. And so most people had most difficulty with biochemistry. That was a big equalizer, or most people quit because of biochemistry in medical school.
Wow. Yeah, that's what put me out. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm just kidding. I never went to medical
It's
school.
tough, biochemistry.
I mean, people just skate by, right? I mean, it's like, what's the joke? What do you call a guy that graduated at the bottom of his class?
Still a doctor.
In medical, that's right, he's still a doctor. Listen, thank you so much. You have
Thank you for
provided
having me.
a wealth of knowledge and information here. And my hope is that people will take what you've said and actually apply it. Knowledge is in power. The application of that knowledge is the power, right?
Yes,
How can
correct.
people find you or get more information about what you've done and see your studies and all the wonderful things that you've done?
Well, you can Google me, Leslie Ray Matthews. You'll pull up a lot of stuff just Googling my name, a lot of videos and a lot of articles. Or you can go to my Facebook page, Leslie Ray Matthews. I have an Instagram page, Dr. Leslie R. Matthews. So those are the 3 ways that you can get in contact or see what I'm doing.
You could Google Royal Science. Is that the Royal Society
Royal
of
Society of Medicine.
Yeah, which is like the most exclusive medical association in the world.
Yes, yes, it's very
Sigmund
exclusive.
Freud
Yeah.
and Prince Charles and all of these people, and then you,
I'm
Dr.
still trying to
Matthews
figure
from
out-
Mississippi.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how I got in.
It was biochemistry, I'm pretty sure of it.
It was vitamin D research.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to According to Michelle. As always, you can find me here on the VTV network every Wednesday at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. And I am at Michelle Taylor Willis on just about everything. Until next time.